Parents, welcome back and welcome to today's lesson, the resurrection and life everlasting. We finished a 2-week break where today is Divine Mercy Sunday. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, where the children should have gone through their Easter experience, the end of Lent, and the joyous occasion that Easter is. What we covered today was the resurrection itself and all that it means with that awesome event. Before we did that, we went and did a recap of Holy Week, starting with Palm Sunday. All the events that happened in between there. We talked about the Last Supper, the agony in the garden, the betrayal of Jesus, leading on up to his torture, his crucifixion, his public trial, and ultimately his burial into the tomb. Which led us to the story that we covered today, the actual rising from the dead. A couple things that we wanted to stress once we read the story, the discovery of his closest loved ones, that he has risen, as he says he was, as he said he was going to. The first thing we stress with the children is, this is a historic event. Now, why is that important? Being Catholic is an act of faith, but it's not without reason. Being Catholic is to be open to logic, questions, to examinations, probing questions, and above all, facts and history itself. We in this faith feel that it's all together. Because of that historic event, because of what we know, we have the fullness of the story, the fullness, so we can interpret what happened that day. That Jesus not rising from the dead is debatable. It really isn't. It's just people that would debate that actually just don't know enough. But should you know all the facts, should you know the whole story, then yes, it will be very clear and apparent that that event occurred. And that's important for us to know as Catholics, especially new ones coming in. Number two, that's on the physical side of the event. On the spiritual side of the event, the most important meaning is there. Because if Jesus rose from the dead, the meaning is there is no power, no evil, no betrayals, no monies, nothing in this world. Nothing can defeat God's love for you. That essentially is the good news. Nothing. We can betray God. We can do terrible things to God. And He still loves us and wants us. It's the life-changing realization about what actually happened that day that changes a person forever. The resurrection story. A couple other things that we can take from the resurrection story is that it did actually something to the powers of darkness. It changed it. Because we say that He conquered sin. So how did He do that? Well, by opening Himself up as a sacrificial lamb, He allowed darkness, and He wanted to draw it all in. Draw in darkness from across time and the ages, to draw it all out, to take it upon Himself. Allow all the hate, the vileness, the terribleness that sin is. And like a sponge almost, take it all in. And then die with it. In dying with it, the most powerful thing evil has in this world is death. He even allowed death to come upon Him. And then conquered it, smashed it, by forgiving it all. All that evil was forgiven in that one act. And rising from the dead means not even death has power over goodness, over love, over divine love for us. It's incredibly good news. Number two, another thing we wanted to stress is that it was a physically daunting task for Jesus to have taken on upon Himself. But it wasn't one that we should misconstrue. The example we try to use here to kind of touch what it was a little bit like for Jesus was that of being a mother. Just like in childbearing, where it's an excruciating, torturous pain that will bring forth life, the mother, in her agony, doesn't regret it at all. She pushes and perseveres through it to the ultimate end, the joyous end. And will forget the pains in a sense. Never really, but It doesn't dominate her. That's what the cross was like. He wanted that pain. He wanted to suffer. He wanted to draw it all out to buy us our freedom from sin. The other things we covered today is that since death has no power over us, but we all will die, what happens when we do die? That's the entry into life everlasting. We talked about the general judgment, which happens on the second coming of Christ, where we all will be raised from our tombs, from the dead, and we'll be restored. Our souls and our bodies will be restored, by which we will have a general judgment, where God will come and separate the sheep from the goats, is what he says, and pass all judgment there. But we also go experience the particular judgment, and that's the immediate, personal, individual judgment of you and your life that happens immediately upon death, where you will be judged worthy of heaven, or you will be allowed the fruition of your decisions by going to hell. The thing about hell, and we try to stress here with the children, is God doesn't, in a sense, send you there. You kind of do it to yourself. Realizing once you gaze upon all glory, all good, all love, and you taking your life and living the way you did are not worthy of this, you yourself put yourself in hell for all eternity. Is really how it works. But we covered that with them today. Spirit of discussion with that. The other thing is, since it is divine mercy, we did kind of go over the 7 corporal works of mercy and the 7 spiritual acts of mercy. We identified that these acts is what mercy looks like, or synonymous with love. If you want to know what love looks like, you'll find it in these. This is what it should be doing. Love should produce this type of action. And we introduced, of course, Catherine and Sierra, a great saint for today. A great saint to consider if we still haven't picked our saints to adopt on to help us through our life. So that comes to our task for this week, which is to basically get our muscle memory back, make sure we're doing all our morning prayers, our evening prayers, we're dedicating our life to Jesus with our morning offerings, doing as much good as we can, where we're at in our lives, where we're at in our schools, and make sure that our task for this week is to complete our decision-making process on who our saint's going to be and get that information up to the front office. Because now it's due. It's due. There's no more time. We have to get that done. So if you're straggling on that, it has to be done this week. Last little bit. May 6th is almost here. It's almost time to have that permanent entry into God's good graces. There is no coming back. Because we told the children, once you have these sacraments done upon you, you are it. You are Catholic. You are Jesus's. You belong to him. And there's no changing that. That happens on May 6th. There'll be more coming out in the next 2 weeks to give you more details. We will have a Friday night rehearsal before Saturday's big day. We do expect everybody to make sure that they're dressed appropriately for that. We're looking for white. For the girls, obviously, white dress is a white top to bottom. Veils are often common there. We use the princess model is what we should be looking like that day. For the guys, ultimate gentleman presence, white tops. We're not saying that you have to have a white suit, although that's quite common, but definitely a white shirt. So we'll take off the jackets, the blazers, and be able to perform the ceremony with a white shirt. So with that, we welcome everybody back as we get ready to enter the Catholic Church here in the next 2 weeks, and we wish everybody the best. So God bless and God love you.